Hi folks, it's Kelvin here. We run Coach for Leeds and surrounding areas as well as online coaching. In this little video, I'd like to share some thoughts on goal setting and maybe look at goal setting from a slightly different angle. It's not uncommon for me to hear runners say things like, maybe they're training for a 10K that they've done a previous year, and they say things like, I'll be happy as long as I beat last year's time. And when we dig a little bit deeper into it, they actually want a little bit more than that. When we start to say, well, if in 6 months' time you run that 10K and last year you ran 50 minutes and, if this time you run 49:58, are you going to be really happy? And they say, well, no, not really. And then we start to have a conversation about what does that time need to be, or is it a completely different goal that can help motivate that runner? Because when people are having discussions with themselves about setting goals and maybe having discussions with others, they're quite often a little bit shy of thinking big. The size of goals is very individual. Some people work better with smaller goals. And even those people who set big scary goals, some smaller goals to break things up on that journey is often useful. I sometimes suggest goals to runners. I suggested something to somebody the other day that was like a 3-day trek, so 2 nights in huts and a 3-day trek in the mountains, and they were like, really? Do you think I could do that? And I was like, well, I'm not sure. What do you reckon? And they're like, maybe, and we came to this conclusion that it wasn't a physical impossibility. It would be very challenging. It would be, we would not just kind of from a fitness perspective, but it would have sort of looking at the weather, logistics, navigation, booking the huts, gear, everything this person's gonna wear. So there was a lot involved, but what I was doing there really is just kind of planting a seed. I've known this runner for a number of years now, and I've got ideas what this runner might like to do. So sometimes as a coach, I make suggestions that might be a little bit kind of off the mainstream and a little bit like, really? And then, in a couple of months' time, this runner might come to me and go, you know what, I think that might be a maybe now. Whereas when you first said it, I was like, absolutely no chance. Then I'm like, okay, cool. Let's carry on with what we're doing. Maybe blend some training that might be specific to that, just to give us a little bit of an idea. But it's still not something that's completely set in stone. Another couple of months might go by, and that runner might come to me and say, do you know what? What do you think about we give it a go? And I'd be like, yeah, I'll be excited. And they might say, do you think I can do it? And I'm like, I don't know. It's not a physical impossibility. And that might really fire that person up and get them motivated. So what I'm trying to say is when you're setting goals, it might be something that you even keep to yourself. It's wise to write it down. You might write it down and just like pop it between some, pages of a book or something like that. Maybe you don't want anybody else to know because it's so crazy. But every now and then, if that keeps, popping into your head and you're like, do you know what? I think I might be able to do that. By all means, feel free to set big, scary goals. So I hope that makes some sort of sense. And if you've got any questions, please pop them in the comments below. And for now, happy running.